Welcome back. You're watching To The Point. First in January and then in March, the Delhi High Court embarrassed the government by reversing critical decisions taken against Greenpeace. So yesterday, when the government suddenly suspended Greenpeace's license to receive foreign funds and threatened to cancel it, did the government act in revenge? Or is this justified? My guests are the head of Greenpeace India, Samit H, BJP spokesperson Sambit Patra, and the well-known Supreme Court lawyer Sanjay Hegde. Sambit Patra, in January, the Delhi High Court overturned the government's decision to block funds that Greenpeace India receives from Greenpeace International and Climate Works. In March, the High Court ruled that the government's decision barring Priya Pillai from travelling abroad was illegal and wrong. Now, you've suspended Greenpeace's license to receive foreign donations and you're threatening to cancel it altogether. Are you picking on and targeting Greenpeace? Because to many people, it certainly looks like that.
Not at all. Karan, first and foremost, as far as the High Court verdict of January 20 is concerned, we should be aware of the fact that the High Court unfreezed the account of Greenpeace on 2 counts. Number 1, that the government has not followed the procedures of inspection. Number 2, gave reasonable opportunity to Greenpeace to explain itself. Secondly, and very importantly, I would like to state that the High Court did not cancel the Ministry of Home Affairs order, where the Ministry of Home Affairs had put both these donors, the Greenpeace International as well as the Climate Work Foundation, under a proscribed list. Still they are under the proscribed list called as a prior reference category. So that was not cancelled. And thirdly and very importantly, there are, if you go through the High Court's order, paragraph 10 and paragraph 10.1, the High Court categorically states that the MHA can proceed against the Greenpeace if Greenpeace violates the FCRA norms, and there are a series of norms that have been violated by the Greenpeace.
I'm going to stop you at that point, because I'll come to the extent to which Greenpeace has violated the norms and whether you're right in believing a violation has happened, whether your interpretation stands up or is disputable in a moment's time. That's the basis of your action. I was simply pointing out that to many people, the series of actions you've taken against Greenpeace look very much as if you're picking on and targeting an organization that criticizes many of the things your government does and campaigns against it as well. You're saying no, but many will believe that the answer is yes. Samit H, let me put the opposite to you. The government has accused Greenpeace of using foreign funds to prejudicially affect the public interest and the economic interests of the state. They accuse you of campaigning, protesting and lobbying against government policies, delaying and illegally obstructing energy plans, and finally, placing full-page color ads in the Hindu against India's nuclear policy. And they say all of this is anti-national. How do you respond?
Thanks, Karan, for again inviting me to this call. A couple of things. One is first thing you raised about whether we are working against national interest or we are prejudicial against national interest. I think it is very clearly articulated in the previous High Court judgments, where the Honorable Judge has clearly said that just because an organization or an individual has a point of view which is different from the current government's does not make it anti-national. So I think that is very clear in the High Court judgment, and I don't want to repeat that all over. On the issues you raise, I think as an organization we follow all the laws of the land. We follow democratic processes for even protests, and what we have done is within the constitution of this country. So I don't see anything which is wrong or illegal. Okay. Certainly it is difficult for the government to respond to what we are challenging, but it is not wrong, nor neither unconstitutional.
Sanjay Hegde, the key question, I suppose, is this. Is Greenpeace an anti-national organization because it criticizes government policies and campaigns against them? Or do the Indian people, even if those Indian people are members of Greenpeace, have a right to criticize and protest as well as lobby against government policies? And for the government to call that anti-national is undemocratic. Which of the two is the correct position?
Governments come, governments go. Their positions come, their positions go. Dissent is the soul of any working democracy. So just because somebody dissents from the current government's views, that doesn't make him pro-national or anti-national. He is doing his job, the government's doing its job. And it is for the larger debate to decide from election to election. If the government's right, it will win. That's not...
Can I ask you a specific question?
Yes.
So when the government says that Greenpeace's activities prejudicially affect the public interest and the economic interest, and the activities they're talking about are campaigning, protesting and lobbying against government policies, obstructing energy plans, color ads in the Hindu against nuclear policy, is the government right in saying this is anti-national, or is that the sort of dissent democracy cherishes?
That is precisely the sort of dissent that democracy cherishes. Just think of it. Forget Greenpeace, take it aside. Let's take health budgets. The government has slashed the health budget. Now, if I were to criticize that policy, would I be anti-national? Certainly not. Everyone in a democracy is entitled to a point of view.
Very quickly, if you are a member of Greenpeace, but still an Indian citizen, then does that organization have a right to criticize government policy?
Every organization has the right to criticize government policy. That's the soul of our democracy.
The fact that it's Greenpeace doesn't make it any different.
It doesn't make it any different.
Sambit Patra, let's now come to the manner in which you've acted this time round. The Times of India reports that the action against Greenpeace follows an inspection of its accounts from the 24th to the 7th of September. Now, what I put to you is this: rather than immediately move to suspend and then threaten to cancel their licenses, if you had found things in that inspection that raised question marks, why not call them, give them a chance to answer and explain? You didn't do that. You moved straight to suspend, you threatened thereafter to cancel. Now you're giving them a chance to explain. Surely it should have happened the other way around. That would have been more sensitive and more democratic. This way, you sound authoritarian and intolerant.
No, Karan. I mean, you should be aware of the fact that twice Greenpeace was given the opportunity of reasonably responding. And the second time they have responded on 16 points. There were 16 questions that the government had posed, and they have responded in writing on these 16 points. And on 9th of April, that is yesterday, when the final notice was issued, yet again they have been given a chance to finally respond. But the bigger issue over here is we have been discussing only one clause, and nowhere the government declares Greenpeace as anti-national. If they have been anti-national, then they would not be allowed to function. This issue is about suspending their foreign accounts for 6 months under the FCRA rules. If you allow me only 1 second, because others have spoken against this, let me enlighten the people of this country as to why the FCRA has been suspended. Number one, Mr. H is also there, he should answer this. Is it not true that you have received funds under the FCRA and you have transferred it to 5 undeclared utilization bank accounts without you informing the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Home Affairs, which you are supposed to do within 15 days? You did not do that. Is it not true that you have used this foreign fund, in fact, to carry out legal activities like using this money for bail amount, using this amount, in fact, to give legal support to people of other NGOs, and you could not use this until unless your donors wish to do so? Thirdly, is it not true that you have changed 50% of your executive members without taking into confidence the central government, which according
Sambit
to
Patra,
FCRA rule is illegal?
Because we should give Mr. H a chance to answer. I'm going to very quickly repeat those so that you can answer, and I'm going to ask you to answer each of them specifically. First of all, have you broken FCRA rules by transferring funds that were received to 5 bank accounts without informing the government? Answer that first, Mr. H.
Absolutely not. All of this can be contested. It's a very clear no.
Okay. Number 2. Have you in fact broken government regulations by transferring or replacing 50% of your executive committee without the approval of the Home Ministry? And secondly, by also changing your office from Chennai to Bangalore without informing the Home Ministry?
You know, I can respond to each of this, and I will. I just wanted to put this thing in context first. Just
answer this first before you come to the context. Answer this question first. Otherwise, the audience will forget what you're answering. So tell me, as an answer to that, have you replaced 50%?
On the 50%, it is open to interpretation. It says at any one point in time. Greenpeace India's executive committee has not changed 50% at any one point in time. So that can be refuted, and it will be refuted also.
What about the change of office from Chennai to Bangalore?
That is absolutely false. Our registered office continues to be in Chennai. We get our notices in Chennai. The current notice which you have still not got is, I believe, being posted to Chennai. Our inspection happened in Chennai, and we have 5 or 6 other offices where we operate from. So what is the problem with that?
Let me bring in Mr. Hegde. Mr. Hegde, this is now where we need a judicial mind as well as an independent mind to tell us, is the government's response first to the claim that they've transferred money to 5 bank accounts without informing the government, and that is a breach of FCRA. Is that, even if it's true, does it require suspending and threatening to cancel?
That's what's called in administrative law disproportionate use of your administrative machinery.
So it's an overreaction by the government.
It's an overreaction. That's what I'd hold. But one very important thing is, this is not a notice. This is not a notice that please explain, otherwise I will do X, Y, or Z. This is an order. This is an order which has been passed, at least on a reading of the order, without giving Greenpeace India a hearing.
One other thing. You just heard Mr. H actually completely comprehensively deny that money was transferred to these 5 accounts. So if that is the reason for acting, shouldn't the government have first checked with Greenpeace rather than act and then get the answer?
Yes, because this order only records the charges. It does not record any explanation and thereafter come to any finding. This is almost a one-sided order.
One other thing. On this issue of replacing 50% of the executive committee without the approval of the Home Ministry, you've heard Mr. H say that the phraseology says at any one point of time. Right? I noticed that Sambit Patra scoffed on the screen when he was pointing it out, but at any one point of time does suggest that you can, over a long period of time, replace 50%, but you can't do it at one go at one point. Now, if it is subject to interpretation, if it's badly written in the laws, once again, shouldn't the government have checked rather than act?
It does appear so, because after all, one must realize that these are the rules, and it's not even the act. The rules are delegated legislation. They could change, and they do not have the same sort of sacrosanct sanctity that a court attaches to the act.
Sambit Patra, here you have one of the country's leading Supreme Court lawyers, Sanjay Hegde, hearing what you said and hearing the response from Samit H, and clearly saying that this is a situation which called for A, consulting and getting responses from Greenpeace before you acted, and secondly, he's also said that the nature of the action you've taken is disproportionate.
Now can I answer? First and foremost, Mr. Sanjay Hegde is wrong when he says that the Greenpeace organization was not given a chance to respond, because I have the responses also along with me. Here are the 5 bank account transfer transactions written in front of me in the letter. Their bank accounts, the amount transferred, the date of transfer.
That's an
Everything
order.
is for
Your
you to
order
judge.
does not
Secondly,
record a hearing.
Let me complete. Let me complete, and thereafter you can come in. Secondly, did not the Greenpeace reply to a question which was asked by the MHA that in 2008-2009 your account opening, you said that was open with nil, but actually it had 6,6,31,700 rupees, to which Greenpeace admitted that it was a typing error. Just imagine, you had 6 crore rupees, more than 6 crore rupees in an account while you were opening it, and you showed it nil.
Are you seriously telling me the government of India never makes typing errors? Leave aside the BJP. I won't embarrass you by reminding you of the typographical
Karan, do you want to say that all wrongs that they have done under the FCRA
Come on, let's not throw typographical errors at people. Samit H's hands going up. Samit H, on this critical issue of the 5 bank accounts where it is alleged you transferred money, you categorically said no, nothing of the sort has been done. You've heard Sambit Patra say that in fact he's got records in his hands to prove you've done it. Do you want to reply to that specific point?
Absolutely. Please understand that our international grants, which came only to designated grant accounts, which is the foreign account. From that, it went to another account, which is also designated, which the MHA knows. I think all of this is false and will be refuted point by point when we come. The question which Mr. Patra raises about the typological error, please understand one thing. That year's records, which we also uploaded onto the website, which is online on the MHA website, very clearly says that it had an opening balance, a spend and a closing balance. I agree that on the printed sheet, There was a typological error which can always happen, but the online records show that we had an opening balance, spends and closing balance. I don't know what we are talking about. It is not about the content, Karan. It is about the intent. Let's get into it. I can refute point by point all the 9 allegations and spend the next 2 hours talking about it.
Can I come back? You've heard a fairly effective refutation from Samit H, but at the end of the day, whether you consider it effective or not may be an individual judgment. What it does show is that there is clearly a different version to the problem. There is the government's interpretation, there is clearly Greenpeace's interpretation, and therefore I come back. Were these sufficient grounds that justify A, suspension, and B, threatening to cancel this license, or does this reflect the intolerance of this government, who's desperately looking for ways to silence its critics, and perhaps in Greenpeace's case, for a way for revenge, because twice Greenpeace has embarrassed them in the High Court?
Well, we have in law a statement that malified is it's very easy to allege, difficult to prove, but it's very easy to discern. And here is a case where twice the government has had a certain loss of face in the courts. Thereafter, what really surprises me is this order. You normally give somebody a written notice, take his explanation on record, and the final order reflects the notice, the reply, and then having considered it, then you pass an administrative order. This order only has the government's ipse dixit. Not one word of the Greenpeace reply seems to have been considered properly.
So then your conclusion is that this whole instance
it's an order. Sambit, please do not mislead.
Sanjay, you are saying right now that the Greenpeace has not been consulted, but now you are agreeing that it has been consulted, but the order does not place its consultation.
This is not a tutu meh between the two of you, even if Mr. Hegde is effectively refuting what you're saying, Sambit. You therefore believe, Mr. Hegde, that this smacks of government malafide?
How malafide is pleaded and proved in court, that's up to Greenpeace. But there is a pattern discernible. To quote some phrase in literature where it said that the first time could be happenstance, the second time it could be coincidence, but the third time is definitely enemy action.
Samit Patra, I want to give you the last chance, because clearly your government is in the dock. It looks to us as if this is intolerance, because you can't stand criticism and you're trying to snuff it out one way or another. 20 seconds to reply.
Karan, if someone is at dock, it is the Greenpeace is at dock, and they have already gone to the High Court on April 9th itself, that is yesterday.
Answer the question I put to you rather than evade it.
We will wait. No. The High Court, you are saying that we had a face-off with the High Court? No. The High Court still stands with the proscribed list.
I said this is a case of your government's intolerance of criticism. Answer that if you want.
Not at all. It is a classical case of Greenpeace breaking the rules of this country and a few trying to support Greenpeace.
Twice you tried to suggest that to the High Court, and I'm afraid they slapped you square across the cheek with their rebuff. It may happen again. It will be terribly embarrassing if it does. Let's leave it there, Sambit Patra. It sounds to me, and it sounds at the end of this discussion, that there are a lot of question marks to be asked about the government's behavior, fewer about Greenpeace. My thanks to my guests for joining me, and there we end this particular episode. You have been. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.